All right, welcome to another episode of C's Backyard Bees. Today we are talking about the two primary ways that beekeepers their get their bees. The first way is a package. The second way is a nuke. So let's first break down the cost of each of these. First off, a package, at least in my area, from what I can tell from looking at some different sources, looking at the bee club, looking at different stores around me, and then doing a nationwide if I was going to order from a big bee supplier. Packages are cheaper. They range from $155 to about $180. As far as nukes go, they are more expensive, and we'll get into the reasons on why. But they range from about $225 to $250. So let's break into why there is that price difference and what I would buy if I was going to buy another package or another set of bees in case for some reason my bees did not make it over winter. So where are they from? So a lot of the packages that you see come from the south, especially California, right around that springtime of year. And the reason for that is because California produces a lot of food that needs pollinators, and they don't have enough natural pollinators to be able to do it. So what happens is these big bee companies send their bees from the south, from the north, wherever they are, they all send them to Southern California. And those bees love pollinating all of those fruits, vegetables that California is growing, nuts. And what ends up happening around this time of the year is their hives are just bursting with bees. So instead of them swarming, they are selling them as a bee package. So what ends up happening is they create a bunch of queens from different hives. They take a bunch of nurse bees, they pour in 3 pounds of nurse bees, they take their queen, put her in a cage, put a cork on the end, and then slide her in. The last step they do is give them some sugar feed, and then these bees are loaded up and shipped to wherever they need to be. In my case, they get shipped to a local store, and from there, that local store sells them out. So yeah, that is kind of like the process for this. Your nuke, where they're from, is they are mostly local. So they come from a local beekeeper, same process. Their hives are getting too big, but instead of just dumping out nurse bees and putting a queen in there, they are splitting their hives. And they split their hives by taking 2, 3, 4 frames, putting it into a nuke box, NQC, and then they either put a queen in from extra. That is a question that I believe that you should ask a beekeeper, or they let the bees raise their own queen, which is my preferred way to get a queen. So what happens is they go in this nuke, and then they have those frames of wax all built out, and they do their bee thing. It's just a small hive is all a nuke is. It's a 5-frame hive instead of an 8 or a 10-frame hive. Okay, so they're typically local. You drive to wherever that beekeeper's yard is, you pick up your nuke, and you leave. So I think like the big difference between the two, or one of the big differences, is what you get, right? So here in the package, you get 3 pounds of bees and a queen. Here in the nuke, you get 5 frames full of wax. 2 or 3 of those frames are going to be bee larvae in different stages, eggs, larvae, or capped brood. And then you get 2 more frames of resources, pollen and honey. So this is much more ready to set up and go than what this is going to get you. This is weeks ahead than what this is going to get you, because they have to make all that wax, where this wax is already made for 5 frames. They have to make this for 5 frames, and then depending on what type of equipment you are running, they need to make several more, like they need to make 16 to 20 frames total of wax, where these already have a head start with those 5 frames. Between the two, you're much more likely to get honey your first year if you go the nuke route than your package route. Even though you shouldn't expect honey your first year, this is your better bet. Also, this is not a faceless beekeeper. You get to go to their bee yard, you get to see them. Chances are, if you ask them, they will let you go into their bee yard, see their operation. You can ask them questions directly and find out exactly what kind of bees you're working with. What's their temperament? Where's the queen from? How old is that queen? Compared to here, like for sure you have probably a new queen. You know, I'm saying that 98% of the time it is going to be a brand new queen in here, but you don't know their temperament. You're completely buying blind, right? So as a backyard beekeeper, I need to make sure that my temperament is, you know, a nice calm temperament, because we're in the backyard. Storming behind us. We're in the backyard. My kids are in the backyard. I can't have bees coming around stinging us all the time. So it's important for me to have that connection. And then the last point that I want to make is, where do you want the majority of your money going? Do you want the majority of your money going to another beekeeper like you, directly small scale, staying in your neighborhood, or do you want money going to a large corporation that is not in your area? Sure, some of that money is going to your local bee supply store. However, the majority of it is going to these large corporations that do their large corporation things. So I'm not going to get political about it, but I believe in supporting a small guy over a large corporation when you can, and that is getting harder and harder the more we go into society here. So, in my opinion, buy a nuke over the package, especially if you get to meet that beekeeper, if you get to ask them questions, if you get to learn from the beekeeper themselves. That is just a bonus on top of that. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. You're driving me nuts.